Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is, of course, Cameron, and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday, it is the game review. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Everton 0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday evening. A second straight defeat for Frank Lampard's Everton team, of course, after going 7 unbeaten in the Premier League prior. 2 defeats to 2 good sides, 2 sides that will undoubtedly be near the top of the league come the end of the season. Certainly Tottenham, who I feel will comfortably finish within those top 4 Champions League places. But 2 defeats that Everton were pouring. I think it is fair to say we were probably a little bit worse against Manchester United. We probably performed a little bit worse against Manchester United, given we were at Goodison Park, and given that Manchester United aren't anywhere near as good as what Tottenham Hotspur are, and that their form isn't particularly great at the moment. However, it was still 2 very disappointing performances, 2 very disappointing results, and ultimately 2 games that Everton had opportunities in, and on another day might have come away with something. Now, that's not me sitting here saying Everton deserved anything, because much like last week, I feel Everton deserved very little from Saturday's performance against Tottenham Hotspur. However, having said that, we still had opportunities at periods in the game to go ahead, and at periods in the game to really give Tottenham Hotspur and Antonio Conte, something to think about and put some question marks in their mind. Unfortunately, we didn't take those opportunities, and it seems very much at the moment like when Everton lose a game of football, it's almost down to ourselves. We haven't lost the game of football this season where we've been absolutely battered. We've had the floor wiped of us, and we've just, been absolutely turned over by a team that is so much better than us that we couldn't really do anything about, that we just had to sort of sit there and witness every game this season. And it feels like every goal we've conceded this season has come from a direct mistake from a player. Now, okay, you could question Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's goal on Saturday, because it wasn't really a mistake as such. It was just Everton being exposed on the counter-attack, because we needed to go and get back into the game. However, again, it took a deflection. I'm not saying that is the fault of Alex Iwobi, because those things happen in football. But it took a deflection. The first goal certainly was a mistake and couldn't come from a mistake. Although, having seen the replay 36,000 times, I'm still absolutely convinced it's never a penalty. Now, I know that his contact made by Jordan Pickford. I know he makes contact with his head. I know he clatters into him a little bit. But let's be honest, there's nowhere near enough contact in that situation for Harry Kane to go down in the way that he did. And even if there was enough contact in that situation, Harry Kane is already throwing himself on the floor before he makes any contact with Jordan Pickford's head whatsoever, because his dive is to try and pervert the fact that Jordan Pickford's hands dragged them down when they didn't. Reality of the situation is we can sit here all day and talk about referees and talk about decisions, and there's been, it feels like every week that there's a decision in every game that you just look at and you think, what is going on there? I mean, the Man United game, Manchester United scored a perfectly good goal. It was disallowed because the referee decided he hadn't blown his whistle, even though he had. Newcastle should have had a penalty in that game. Somebody was, I think it was Callum Wilson, was clattered in the box. We had Manchester City and Liverpool yesterday. Again, another very, very, very dubious decision to disallow Manchester City's goal, which for a foul that wouldn't have been given anywhere else on the pitch. And various other examples of VAR and the referees doing what they do, and that is being absolutely woeful at their jobs. Absolutely woeful at their jobs week in, week out. This one, I feel, was because it was obviously a grievance to Everton, and it's much more personal. I just don't see it. I just don't think it's a penalty whatsoever. If we're going to sit here and do the whole, but there was contact in the box, then why did Everton get a penalty at Goodison Park last season when Hugo Lloris made contact with Richarlison, who of course was playing for Everton at the time, and Richarlison went down and it was overturned because there was not enough contact? So does it just have to be contact, or does there need to be enough contact? Because if it needs to be enough contact, then there's nowhere near that there was enough contact from Jordan Pickford on Harry Kane on Saturday. If it's just any contact, then why haven't Everton had about 15,000 penalties over the last 2 seasons when players are being dragged down or ragged back in the box or taken down? Anyway, I digress. It was still a mistake by Jordan Pickford. He should never have allowed the shot to slip out of his hands. It was a comfortable same shot, and 99 times out of 100, Jordan Pickford deals with that. He holds it, and there's no further situation. There's no penalty situation. There's no ball for Harry Kane to run onto. It's dealt with. And Everton, Everton defend again and go up the other end and maybe get an attack on the way. So, again, another game lost through a mistake. Another game lost through a lack of composure, a lack of maybe confidence, and a lack of quality in front of goal. And I feel like that's where we are very much as a football club at the moment. I remember sitting here a couple of weeks ago and speaking, and a lot of people in the comments, and it seemed a lot of people on social media at the time, I think it was after we'd drawn through Brentford, felt that this season was going to be one of them, that we will win games, but we will win games by small margins. I don't think there's going to be many games where we turn up and we just absolutely wipe the floor with a team 3 or 4-0. And that's not because I don't think Everton are capable of doing it. Well, it is because I don't think Everton are capable of doing it. It's not that I don't think Everton are capable of dominating the game, because I think we've got the midfield to do that on our day. I think defensively, I think the defence has been absolutely excellent. In fact, I thought it was excellent again on Saturday, specifically the two centre-backs. I think the full-backs have been subpar over the last couple of weeks, but the two centre-backs were excellent again. It's just that we don't seem to have enough quality going forward at the moment, and that is exactly how it is. Whether it be Demarai Gray, whether it be Anthony Gordon, whether it be Dwight McNeil, whether it be Neil Maupay, none of them have got enough quality for us to sit here and be confident that we will win games of football comfortably this season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, when he returns back to full fitness again, it was great to see Dom come off the bench the other day. Personally, I'd have had him on a lot earlier, but I understand Frank Lampard and the club are trying to manage that and don't want to rush him back too soon in case he picks up another knock and ends up going out for a bit longer, etc, etc. But the reality of the situation is that okay, in spells Anthony Gordon will have a good game and might get a goal, and in spells Demarai Gray will have a good game and might get a goal, and McNeil might do that, and Maupay might do that. But the reality is, consistency wise, there is just not enough quality in this Everton team going forward. And that's why when we all sat here and said this is going to be very much like one of those David Moyes seasons where we're very, very difficult to beat, we're compact, we're tough at the back, we work hard in midfield, we battle, but we also haven't got a vast amount of goals going for us. So if we're to win games, it will be by the odd goal. And when that's the case, and when you haven't got a particular amount of quality up front, and when you understand that you are going to get minimal chances in a game, you absolutely have to take those chances. And listen, I understand people who were a little bit upset with the game plan from Frank Lampard on Saturday night. I didn't have an issue with the game plan, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Firstly, because had Everton have tried to go toe-to-toe with Tottenham Hotspur, as much as we might have wanted to see it, and as much as we might have wanted to see Everton attack and get at them and put them under a bit of pressure and chase them down, we'd have been absolutely ripped to pieces. It would have been 3-4-0 before you even knew it. Because the reality of the situation is, listen, I agree that Everton should have approached the Manchester United game in that way, because we were at home, it was at Goodison Park, we were under the lights, and Manchester United are very much a team, as shown many a times this season, that if you put them under pressure, and if you get at them, and if you give them a bit of fear and you put an hard tackle in, their mentality can crumble. They've shown that multiple times this season, they've shown it multiple times over the last few years. They can crumble. Tottenham are a very different opposition, and it was away from home. Had we have gone at this Tottenham team, we tried to do it last season. We tried to get at them. We tried to play with a little bit of fear. It was before Frank Lampard had realised, actually, do you know what? I can't really try and implement a style of play here. I just need to win games of football. Tottenham away last season was one of the first games, not one of the first games, it was one of those games before Frank had realised that. And when he tried to get at them, and when he tried to be smart, and when he tried to play good football, and we were 2-0 down within 15 minutes, we lost the game 5-0. Now, okay, we've gotten much better since then, and I understand that. And I understand our defence is much more solid. I understand our defence is a lot better than what it was back then. However, Tottenham have got an awful lot better since then as well. Tottenham have improved. Tottenham have brought better players in. Tottenham have got more quality. Tottenham are a much stronger team. Also, have got, have had a nearly a year now, if not more than a year, of one of the best managers in Wales football managing them. So it's a very, very different Tottenham opposition as well. So I had no big issue with the way in which Everton approached this game. I get it's not the most entertaining. I get it's a little bit boring. I get it's a little bit negative. It's a little bit, not very pragmatic. However, we're not there to turn up and entertain and get, our arses handed to us like we did when we went there last season. We're there to try and do what we can to get a result. And the reality of the situation is, for as much as Frank maybe could have been a bit more proactive changing it in the second half, and I think in the second half, when we were under the cosh a little bit, we went to a strange sort of back five with Dwight McNeil at left wing back, which is absolutely crazy because Dwight McNeil can't defend whatsoever, and didn't do any defending. I think the second half, there's an argument that Frank got it wrong, but the first half, I thought we defended really, really well. We battled well in midfield. I thought Gay was involved, which he wasn't in the second half. I thought Onana was involved, which he wasn't in the second half. I thought McNeil was relatively involved, which he wasn't in the second half. And we had two big opportunities that, on another day, with a bit more quality in the team, for another side, you take them and you go 2-0 up, and all of a sudden, okay, they're on the counter-attack, and okay, the possession stats aren't favourable, but you're 2-0 up away from home, and that's when you throw everyone behind the ball and you just defend. I thought we done a good job at keeping Harry Kane relatively quiet in that first half. He had a couple of moments where he showed his quality, but I thought James Tarkowski was absolutely phenomenal in that first half. I thought Connor Cody was absolutely phenomenal in that first half. Richarlison didn't get a sniff. Son didn't get a sniff. And as I said, Harry Kane didn't really get a sniff. But when you are a team that base yourselves and understand that a lot of these types of performances are going to be based on defending and, being a strong, solid defensive unit and hitting teams on the counter-attack, you simply have to score when you get on the counter-attack. And when Everton don't score, and when Everton miss two opportunities like we did, you sort of know what's coming. And that is that these are going to come out firing. That's exactly what they did. They got a penalty, a little bit like Chelsea did. They went 1-0 up, and from that point, Everton were forced to come out. But there just simply isn't enough quality in this team at the moment. And we'll be okay. I've got no qualms about that. My message is exactly the same as it was after Manchester United. There is simply no need for crisis whatsoever. We've gone 7 unbeaten already this season, and we've lost to Manchester United, who, okay, we should have done a little bit better against, but are still a team that will finish in the European places this season. And we've lost to Tottenham, who will comfortably finish in the top 4. In fact, I'll go ahead and say comfortably finish in the top 3 this season. So it's not the end of the world. It's not crisis. It's not, oh my God, look at how bad we are. It's not Frank Lampard hasn't got a clue, sack him. Because as I said, I had no big issue with Frank Lampard's tactic in the second half. My issue was when we went 1-0 down, there wasn't a reaction. It wasn't like he knew what to do to change the game to favour Everton. Now, you could say there wasn't much he could do. He brought on Calvert-Lewin, he brought on James Garner, etc., etc. There wasn't much he could do at that point. The reality is there's not enough quality in that firing line. Anthony Gordon, when he's there, isn't good enough. He's a good player, but he isn't good enough to be relying on him to win you Premier League games of football. Damari Gray, exactly the same. Neil Maupay, exactly the same. Dwight McNeil, exactly the same. What Everton could have done with this summer was another attacking winger that scores goals, dare I say, Cody Gakpo, who we were linked with, or Mohamed Kudus, who was desperate to come to Everton and is now one of the hottest prospects in Europe and will not come to Everton, by the way. For every Evertonian believing that he'll be here in January, there is not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. As much as he might have wanted to come to Everton, that was when he wasn't getting game time. That was when he wasn't favoured at Ajax. He's now not only favoured at Ajax and getting game time, but he'll have some of Europe's, most prestigious clubs after him because of how well he's done so far this season. Reality is, there ain't enough quality in that forward line to be missing 2 clear chances against Tottenham away from home in the way that we did. We almost sort of knew, pardon me, that this could happen, that we could, go into this game and lose it. Pardon me, tickly throat. And we could be going into Newcastle on Wednesday off the back of 2 defeats. And that was why the game against Manchester United, for me, was more important. Not more important to a sense of that this one wasn't important, but it was much easier to win the game against Manchester United than it was to win this one. And had we have won the game against Manchester United, this loss wouldn't have felt anywhere near as devastating as maybe it does. And we'd be going into Newcastle thinking, right, okay, let's attack it and let's see what happens. Now you're going into Newcastle with a bit more pressure. You lose that one, which is possible because Newcastle are a decent side. They've strengthened really well. They've got a couple of key players out injured, which will benefit Everton. But they're in a good sort of reign of form. There's a good feeling around the football club at the moment because of what's going on with the owners. And we're away from home. It will be a difficult game. You lose that, and all of a sudden, as much as we might sit in and go, well, we've lost to United, Tottenham, and a strong Newcastle team at home, 3 losses on the bounce, the media start to turn their attention to Frank Lampard a little bit again because they don't want to turn their attention to managers like Steven Gerrard, who, how he still is in a job is beyond me. The eyes start turning, people start questioning things, decisions, performances, how we actually have improved. The reality is, we are, and listen, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and everybody can have their own opinion, and everybody will have their own opinion, and that is absolutely fine. I don't understand anybody that doesn't see how much more improved we are from last season. We were talking about an Everton team last season that they were periods, weeks upon weeks, where I didn't know when Everton were going to win in the next game of football. I didn't know when Everton were going to score the next goal. Now, okay, we're by no means perfect and we're very far from that, and these last couple of performances have shown that, but we're much more solid defensively, we're much more consistent, there's much more leadership, there's much more athleticism, there's much more desire, there's much more battle in the midfield. This is a much better Everton team than what it was last season. Does that mean it still isn't good enough and we should settle? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But, again, my point is it was another game of small margins. Another game of small margins on Saturday, and when you miss 2 opportunities in the way that we did against a team that is so clinical and as good as Tottenham Hotspur are, and you lose the game, you can't really sit there and have any sort of complaint. And I don't really think you can sit there and put blame on Frank Lampard either, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, maybe he should have brought Dom on a little bit earlier, maybe he should have, again, go into a back 5, and with that two up front formation, he sort of went 2 up front with Gray, but took McNeil off. When I'm not by any sense of the imagination saying, took Maupay off. I'm not by any sense of the imagination saying Maupay had a good game or Maupay deserved to stay on. But if you were going to go with 2 up front, and that was going to be the tactic for the last half an hour or hour of the game, whatever it was, then I would have much rather, half an hour, 40 minutes, I would have much rather have had Maupay next to Dominic Calvert-Lewin because he's a striker, and plus Demarai Gray had one of the easiest opportunities he'll get in his career in the first half and he'd missed it. So yeah, again, second half I see where the questions are, but the first half was exactly how I expected. Everton defended well, we hit them on the break and we just didn't take our chances. I thought Everton started the game, I don't want to say relatively well, because from the first minute it was all Tottenham, and that's what you expect when you come up against a team who are in as good a form as Tottenham Hotspur are. They've lost 1 game this season, and that was a North London derby. They are, as I said, they're in really, 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 really good form at the moment, and they're sort of under the radar a little bit because of the form of Arsenal, and because Arsenal are the sort of new kid on the block in terms of challenging for the title, and because of Manchester City's dominance and the dominance of Erling Haaland. The form of Tottenham and certain Tottenham players, Harry Kane, for example, who I think has got, 9 goals in 10 games or something like that now, it's sort of gone a little bit under the radar, and Antonio Conte, the job Antonio Conte is doing there is, I don't want to say being overlooked, because whenever you hear people talk about Tottenham, it's always very positive and it's always very good, but it's not really getting the attention that maybe it deserves, and it was always going to be an incredibly difficult and incredibly tough game, and a game that I don't think many of us were expecting to come out of with anything from, especially given how it was when we went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season. It was absolutely horrific. So, you always say, don't you, if you've got no expectation and you go into a game thinking we're going to get absolutely battered here, and then you come out of a game and you've lost, but you've not been battered and you've had chances to win the game or to go in front, you feel much worse. If you go into a game thinking we're going to get absolutely battered here and you get absolutely battered, you sort of walk out fuming and upset and angry, but you sort of go, well, we knew it was going to happen anyway. When you go into a game thinking this is going to be difficult here, we could get absolutely battered, and you walk out thinking, imagine Onana that took that chance in the first half, imagine Gray that took that chance in the first half, imagine Jordan Pickford doesn't make a silly mistake. it's much worse because there was opportunities there to get a result in a really difficult game of football. And as I said, as much as again, it's difficult to say Everton started the game well because Tottenham had a lot of all of the possession. Tottenham were moving the ball well. I thought Everton were not in control necessarily of the player of the ball, but in control of what the game plan was. Although the game plan was being executed, we were defending well within the opening minute, 2 minutes. James Tarkowski was made a really, really good challenge to get himself in front of Harry Kane. A couple of minutes later, he's made another one, which is a really good challenge. Connor Cody is again leading by example. But any ball that comes in gets straight back out. Coleman defending well, Mikalenko defending well. I thought Garner in the midfield was particularly good in that first half, nicking the ball back, running round. Whenever Tottenham were on the counter-attack or moving the ball forward, he was in there, he was grabbing it, he was getting it back. Onana the same. Whenever there was one occasion, I think it was Bentancur, was driving through the middle of the park completely with a free run at the defenders effectively, and Onana comes in behind him, slide challenges him, wins the ball. And I think even Bentancur ends up standing up and giving him a sort of a standing ovation for it because it was such a good challenge. So we were holding ourselves okay. We weren't in control, and Tottenham were the team in possession, and Tottenham were the team controlling the pace of the game. They didn't really have many opportunities. They had one or two half chances. Jordan come out at one point to deny Harry Kane. Come out quickly and got down well to deny Harry Kane, and they had a couple of other crosses flashed across the box or headers over or shots from outside the box that went over. Nothing really that troubled Jordan Pickford. Everton had the best chances of the first half. Again, one on the counter-attack, ball goes up, all of a sudden Demarai Gray does really, really well to beat his man, uses his strength, uses his pace to beat his man, gets one-on-one with Lloris, and I haven't seen it again. I must admit, at first I thought that's a push. That was my initial thoughts on the situation. I thought he'd been pushed over, if I'm being honest with you. Haven't spoken to people and who'd watched it on the television. He just effectively, A, he wasn't strong enough, and B, he didn't get the shot on target. And that's my biggest frustration with both of these opportunities. Onana's as well. I'm not as frustrated with Onana because he's a centre midfielder. He's new to the league, and I think he probably crumbled under the pressure a little bit. However, and I'm not going to go too harsh on them because, listen, as I said before, this is a very likeable Everton team, and I don't think a defeat to Tottenham away from home changes that. I don't want to sit here and start questioning players, when there's not really a need to. However, what I will say is, and I think everybody would agree, by the way, if you're watching and you're enjoying, please hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. I think everybody would agree with me when I say that I'm just throwing pens on the floor, by the way, here. So if you're wondering what that noise is, I've just lashed 2 pens on the floor by accident. When I say a professional footballer, a Premier League footballer on tens of thousands of pounds per week should be able to hit the target from 20 yards out, 15 yards out. Now, had Demarai Gray hit the target and Lloris made a good save, had Onana hit the target and Lloris made a good save, then you sit here and you say they were opportunities, they should have done better, but they hit the target and the goalkeeper played his part, he made a good save. To not hit the target from those areas is really, really, really poor. And what do we expect when we're sitting here and we're going away from home against a really good team in really good form with really good quality, and you are defending because you're up against a team with a lot of quality up front, and you get an opportunity or two on the counter-attack, and players from 15 yards out, on the edge of the 6-yard box, strikers forwards from 15 yards out on the edge of the 6-yard box, can't even hit the target. And Haruki says we can't rely on only 2 chances, we have to make more chances. We absolutely do have to make more chances. As I've just said, there's not enough quality in this team going forward. Demarai Gray, Dwight McNeil, Anthony Gordon, there's not enough quality there going forward. It's as simple as that. They need to do more, they need to give more. Neil Maupay needs to do more, needs to give more. But what I'm saying is, those 2 chances, you've got to take. Because I think there was an acceptance that we weren't going to dominate the ball. I think there was an acceptance that it was going to be a long night. I sat here and done the preview on Friday night. And I sat here and if you watch the preview, you'll know this, but I sat here and said I've got a feeling this is going to be a very long afternoon for Conor Cody and James Tarkowski. It's going to involve a lot of defending, it's going to involve a lot of physicality, it's going to involve a lot of concentration, because we will be defending for a lot of this game, and we were, and the pair of them done their job superbly. But I agree 100% that we need to be creating more, that we need to make more chances. I agree with that 100%. But had we have scored the 2 that we got and made the 2-0, then maybe Tottenham don't get back in the game. Now, I know it's all if, buts, maybes, it's hindsight, etc., etc. But let's say they get back in the game with the penalty, for example. And again, that mightn't have happened because Jordan mightn't have made that mistake, or the referee might have actually had a pair of eyes. But they definitely don't score the second goal, because their second goal come from Everton trying to get at them to try and get an equaliser, and they hit us on the counter-attack. So, let's say we only had those 2 chances and we scored them and we ended up winning the game or getting a point out of the game. I don't think any of us are sitting here saying we can't rely on having 2 chances. I get your point and I agree with it. But I don't think any of us are sitting here saying we can't rely on 2 chances. If we're sitting here talking about an Everton 2-1 win away to Tottenham, we're sitting here made up, booming, absolutely laughing, absolutely ecstatic. It's the fact that we miss the chances that we do sit here and say we need to create more. But, we could have created 15 chances at the weekend. Now, okay, rule of averages would say that one of them would go in. But when players can't hit the target from 15 yards out from the 6-yard box, forwards can't hit the target from the 6-yard box. What's to say that had we have created 15 chances, they wouldn't have been ballooned over the bar? Then what would we say? The finishing isn't good enough. So it's the same point. The finishing isn't good enough. Demarai Gray should be doing so much better. He's an attacker. He's an attacker who's played in the Premier League for years, with a stint in Germany, of course, but he should be hitting the target from there. And that's the difference between a player that you look at and you go, he's a game winner, he's a match winner, he's got the quality to turn it round, to somebody that you look at and go, he's a match winner one week, but the next week he's absent. Inconsistency. Again, I'll cut Onanan a little bit of slack because he's new to the league and he's not a forward, but a Premier League footballer on thousands of pounds a week. I said it in the instant match reaction. If I was playing on a Sunday and I got that opportunity that Onanan had and I lashed it over the bar, I'd be getting pelters from my teammates. I'd be getting pelters from the manager that I didn't even get it on target. It's when you're in a game like that, it's not good. And the reality is, I get we need to create more chances, and I get that the general point is that overall we're not creating enough chances in games. I agree. I absolutely agree. We didn't create much against West Ham, but we won the game, so we were all happy. We didn't create an awful lot against Southampton, but we won the game, so we were all happy. United, we should have created more. The reality is we were never going to create 15, 16 chances against Tottenham. We weren't. And if we were, then they'll have created 40, 50 chances, because we'll have left ourselves exposed and they've got enough quality up front to absolutely rip us apart. As much as we've improved and as much as we're much better than what we were last season, we aren't in a position to go toe-to-toe with that Tottenham team. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's like if we went to the Etihad and tried to play football against them, it could end in double figures. But if we went to the Etihad and tried to defend, we might get something out of it, as we have done in many a years previous against teams like Man City. We did it last season. We defended really, really well and we were robbed of a penalty. So, yeah, for me, you've got to be more clinical, and they're the difference. That's the difference in that game. The difference is not taking our chances, and ultimately players not really being at their best. I thought, again, Iwobi wasn't really involved. I thought on the ball he was very good, moved it well, worked hard with it. Nothing wrong with his passing, nothing wrong with his movements, nothing wrong with his work rate, but he wasn't as involved as what he has been. He wasn't as involved as what we're used to. And when your whole midfield aren't really involved, and when you're looking at your entire midfield and you're thinking, hang on, where's the, in the second half, where's the battle and where's the winning the ball back? Which threat are we giving from the midfield? There wasn't any. Garner, as I said, first half, very, very good, winning the ball back, battling, moving it well. Second half, may as well have been stood next to me. Onana, first half, really good. Tackles in, throwing it, creating chances. Second half, may as well have been sat next to me. Iwobi, second half, absent. And when that entire midfield was absent in the second half, Even James Garner, when he come on, he worked hard and he tried to move the ball. And I'm not going to sit here and criticise him for it, but he was on his own in doing it. That was when Tottenham sort of, went up in gear. But for me, that first half was the chance to at least go 1-0 up and then defend the lead, sit back, give them something to think about, and I think in doing that, we'd have opened more opportunities for ourselves, because they'd have been forced to come out. We'd be sitting back, and therefore we'd have more chances to counter. But the reality is, I didn't think it was a bad first half whatsoever. I thought it was a well-managed first half by Frank. I did. As much as it might have been, they had all of the possession and this, that and the other. They didn't really do anything with the possession. And we had 2 chances that we should have taken and we didn't take. And I just remember sitting there at half time thinking, how many more of them are we going to get? How many more of them are we going to get? We haven't got Harry Kane. We haven't got Heung-min Son. We haven't got Richarlison anymore. We haven't even got a fit Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We don't create many chances. And that's what Everton are really, really lacking now, is creativity. Really, really lacking creativity. We've sorted the defence out brilliantly with the 2 centre-halves. I think when Patterson comes back, he slots straight back in. Because I just... As much as Seamus worked hard the other day, as much as Seamus battled, as much as Seamus gave everything and, put his heart and soul into the performance, he just isn't very good anymore for me. You've got a good midfield more often than not. We're just lacking that creativeness. We're lacking that player that creates a chance out of nothing. A James Rodriguez or, a number of other players we've had over the years that can get the ball and out of nowhere can create an opportunity. Out of nowhere can, all of a sudden you're through on goal. We've got goal scorers in the team then. We've got Dom who can score goals, and I think Maupay is capable in front of goal as well when given the opportunities. But again, Neil Maupay was absolutely... He was pointless on Saturday because he had no service, and Neil Maupay isn't the type of striker that's going to create his own service. And to be fair, neither is Dominic Calvert-Lewin either. So when you've got no creativity in the team, and you've got wingers that are inconsistent at best, and you've got 2 forwards that are capable in front of goal, but need to be able to, need chances created for them, you're going to struggle when we haven't got that creativity. For me, we need another winger who has got that creativity, who can score and who can create chances, and we possibly need another creative sort of midfielder that can do that as well. I don't think we're necessarily desperately in need of a forward, because and feel free to disagree with me, and I'm sure some people will disagree with me, but you could put Romelu Lukaku in that team. Nothing changes at the weekend. Maybe if he gets the Onana chance or the Gray chance, of course, but they didn't fall to Maupay either, so it's unfair to say, well, we'd have scored one of them chances. You'd had Romelu Lukaku in that team on Sunday. You could have had Robert Lewandowski in that team on Sunday. Nothing changes because we didn't create anything for the striker. When Dom come on, we didn't create anything for Dom. So I don't necessarily think we're in desperate need for a goal scorer, because the goal scorers that we've got in the team, the forwards, it's not like Maupay's missing. It's not like Maupay had both of those chances and he missed them, or Dom had them chances and he missed them, or Maupay didn't even have a shot on target. Dom didn't get a chance when he come on. We're missing that creativeness, and that was blatantly clear on Saturday. And when we sit here and we say we're not creating enough chances, that's because we're missing that, and that will come. We might go and get one in January, we might go and get one in the summer, who knows. But when you are missing that and you create a couple of chances for yourself, they need to be scored. And we're simply not scoring them at the moment. And when you're not doing that against a top team like Spurs, you will be made to pay for it. So yeah, as I said, I thought the first half was managed relatively well. I thought the midfield were good. Thought the defence was solid. We just didn't take those 2 opportunities, and it was always going to be difficult in the second half, because Tottenham were never, ever, ever going to perform as badly in the second half as what they did in the first half. They were always going to come out strong. They were always going to battle. They were always going to try and get at us. They were always trying to create chances. They were always going to put pressure under us. And I do think that was where I do think Frank got it slightly wrong. I think Frank sort of craved under that, instead of keeping with the same. Craved isn't the right word. Caved under that, instead of sort of keeping with the same formation. and the same tactic. He reverted to a strange 5 at the back formation, which saw Damari Gray go up front, Dwight McNeil strangely play left wing back, despite the fact that he's A, not a defender, and B, got about as much pace as my nan. And it didn't work from that point on. Anyway, let's get into the live comments. If you are watching and you are enjoying live, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. That would mean a massive amount to me as well. Sam says, hey, looking a bit effing massive there, lad. Nice one, my mate. I have literally just been to the gym. I've just done chest and shoulders, so I am incredibly tired. Thomas says, what's happening, Thomas? David puts a smiley face and a blue heart. He's right. Jackie Boy says, thanks for taking a photo in the concourse cam. Good to see you again, Jack. He's right, my mate. Nice one for coming up and saying hello. Appreciate it, my mate. Hope you had a good afternoon, other than the result, and got home safe and all of that stuff. Jason says, hi, Cam up the toffees. What's happening? Philip says, evening all. What's happening? Leah's was a multi-faced shit show at the end of that match. Oh, Leeds Arsenal. Yeah, that was another game that had opportunities in it that were, yeah. After we'll go on to talk about VAR in a second. It's meant to be obvious errors, says Jason. Obvious errors, or depending on which club is involved, non-obvious errors. Pickford should have absolutely scooped it, says Wanderlust. I agree. Does Mina have another complaint? He's got another injury. I don't know about another complaint. What's his complaint? Jack says, was pretty disappointed seeing Mopey live for the first time. Did 0, chasing down from the front, bring back Andy Johnson. I just think Neil Mopey's problem is, at the moment, Glenn says that a fun-sized Dr. Pepper. It's a very small Dr. Pepper, I must admit. I think Mopey's problem at the moment is, as I've just mentioned, he is a striker who won't create chances for himself. And to be fair to Mopey, the only goal he scored for Everton so far against West Ham was out of absolutely nowhere, and he created that one for himself, and he picked it up, and he took the shot from outside the box, and it was a great finish. But Neil Mopey isn't going to pick the ball up on the halfway line, take 4 or 5 players on and slot it. And to be fair, not many strikers in the modern day do that. Romelu Lukaku never done that. He done it a couple of times early on where he used his power against Chelsea in the cup, etc. But more often than not, he wanted it in the box, and I can't even begin to recall how many games of football I watched. And Romelu Lukaku, by the way, is the best striker I have ever seen at Everton, and maybe ever will see at Everton. So I'm not criticising him, I'm not having a go at him, I'm not, because what I would do for Romelu Lukaku back in this team, Jesus Christ. But what I'm saying is there were games where he was never involved because we didn't create anything for him. You create a chance for him, you give him a chance, he scores it. You don't give him a chance, and he can go 90 minutes without being seen. And it's the same with Neil Mopey. Neil Mopey, for me, was just, again, you could have put me up there and I'd have done the same job. He lost every header in the air because he's not very tall and the defenders were taller than him. Okay, he put himself about and he threw himself about a little bit, and when he got the ball he passed it off well, but he didn't offer us anything as a forward, and there lies the problem, is our forwards aren't offering us anything as forwards, and our wingers are missing one-on-one chances. Bundler says, last year Wolves is another example of our current trajectory, except we aren't quite that established yet getting there. Yep. Cameroon says, Glenn. Liam says, we need more from the wingers. Cam, Mopey and Dom are a bit isolated. Onana needs to get in the box more, and in a nutshell, having things to work on is better than total shit show from last year. Yeah, I agree. Frank must be one to lead the revolution, says Eugene. Do you think Modric, I can't say his name, Ukrainian lad, and he is still possible for January? No. Another one who there will be a lot of top European teams after them. Liam says, nah, man, I wish Richie no harm. Still, and it's shit seeing him in that Spurs shirt, not the royal blue. We'll believe he'll be back when Richarlison will be an Everton player again. I would bet money that Richarlison will be an Everton player again before he retires. And good to see him back on his feet. I know he was on crutches and he was a bit emotional after the game. I think Conte's come out today and said that it's not as serious as first feared, and he won't miss the World Cup, which is nice to hear, of course. Glenn says, do you think Kudos is still possible in January? Personally, no. Again, you never know. Kevin Thelwell can work his magic, maybe, but I don't think I think that ship sailed. And do you think Rose on a Friday night, or is it just an away day typical of choice? Also says Glenn. It is an away day typical of choice. I don't think it at any other point. only on away days. There you go. There you go. So yeah, as I said, the first half we had our opportunities. I'm aware that the ball bounced a little bit in front of Demarai Gray, and you could say, oh, it bounced up and it took it out of his control. But you've still got to have the composure for me to get that on target. You've still got to have the composure for me to give the goalkeeper an issue. Same with Onana's. But overall, a relatively solid defensive first half, with opportunities to ultimately take the game away from Tottenham, and we didn't take them. Come out in the second half, and you sort of knew that it was going to be much more difficult. Doug says, hello, Kamla, you heading to Geordie Town? I certainly am, mate. I certainly am. I'll be there on Wednesday night. You almost knew it was going to be much more difficult because there was not a chance Antonio Conte was going to allow that Tottenham team to perform as poorly as they did in the first half, in the second half. They were always going to come out firing. They were always going to try and pin us back. They were always going to try and create. And I think Frank made the mistake by trying to change the formation. I think Frank made the mistake by trying to go a little bit ultra defensive with the 5 at the back. Again, okay, maybe he wants to try something different when Dom come on and, give him a bit more support up front. But the reality is we lost our wide. We lost our wide cover then, because for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, to get the best out of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you need to put crosses into Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You need to give him opportunities in the 6-yard box, preferably on his head, to get on the end of and to score goals. White McNeil isn't quick enough to get up and be a left wing back and then get back to defend, and Seamus Coleman is scared to go past the halfway line at the moment. So that was never, ever, ever going to work. Now I get you could say, well, Gray was shite as well and Gordon was suspended. I get all of that. And this is me worry with Dom. Even when he returns back from injury, where does the service come from? Where does the ultimately where do the chances come from for Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Where are the opportunities created for him? Because he was great. He was flying, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, under Carlo Ancelotti, his best season for Everton, scoring goals week in, week out, scoring hat-tricks week in, week out. Why? Because he had a certain player that we're not allowed to talk about creating chances for him. He had a left-back who was getting forward and creating opportunities, which we haven't got now. Even though, Vitali is a good defensive left-back, he doesn't create chances. And he had, a Colombian superstar who was creating chances for him. So when you create chances for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he will score goals. But as I've just said, I'm not, by any sense of the imagination, comparing Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Romelu Lukaku. And as I've just said, what I would give for Romelu Lukaku to come back to Everton is an awful lot. However, they are similar in the sense that if they aren't having chances created for them, they will be ineffective in games of football. So when Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes back and doesn't do anything for 90 minutes in a game, and we all sit in and go, he's shite, him, get him out, he's absolutely shite, he does nothing. Think about where the chances are coming from for him. Dom comes back and has 5 clear chances and he misses them all, then okay, we can sit there and have those conversations. Reality is, as I've just said, Robert Lewandowski, Romelu Lukaku, some of the best strikers in the world. Put them in that. I mean, one of them's just won a Ballon d'Or half an hour ago, Karim Benzema. Now again, obviously a different world to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Karim Benzema can create chances for himself. But most of the top strikers in this world need players around them that create opportunities. Erling Haaland has scored what? How many goals has Erling Haaland scored this season? Let's have a look. So far, Erling Haaland is the top goal scorer in the Premier League with 15 goals in 10 games. Harry Kane's actually got 9, which again, considering it hasn't been spoke about, is absolute madness. I don't even know where the table is. 10 games, Erling Haaland has scored 15 goals in. Now, how many of them goals have been Erling Haaland picking the ball up, taking 15 players on and burying it? Or picking the ball up on the edge of the box, dribbling around players and creating a chance for himself? How many of them have been Kevin De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva or Rodri or Gundogan putting balls into him and him getting on the end of it and finishing them? The majority of them. The best strikers in the world need the service. Some of them can create chances for themselves, but more often than not, they need the service. And we haven't got the service at the moment. As I said, that second half, we were much more under the cosh. It was always going to be much more difficult. And the decisive moment come when Tottenham were given a penalty kick. Look, first thing I will say is it's poor from Jordan. He shouldn't spill the ball. It's a very, very, very tame effort by I can't remember who it was. And 9 times out of 10, you expect Jordan Pickford to pick that ball up. I have absolutely no issue with it whatsoever. And be able to drive with it. Not drive with it. Be able to collect it, get it out, and Everton go on the attack again, or keep the ball and Everton control possession a little bit. He doesn't. It falls to him. He spills it. Well, the shot comes to him. He spills it. And Harry Kane, at that point, you sort of knew. As soon as Harry Kane got a single touch on the ball, you sort of knew he was going over. And that's exactly what happened. As I said, it's a mistake by Jordan Pickford. But that doesn't automatically mean it's a penalty. Just because Jordan Pickford made a mistake doesn't automatically mean it's a penalty. What it means is Jordan made the mistake and would have been lucky to get away with it. Now, for me, it's never a penalty. For me, I've seen all of the angles. I've watched the replay of his head hitting his shorts, etc., etc. And I understand on the basis of, well, there's contact, so that means it's a penalty. But the reality of the situation is that's not what the rule is. The rule isn't if there's any contact in the box, it's a penalty. Because if it was, then Everton should have had about 10 last season. And maybe we wouldn't have been in the position we were had we have gotten those penalties. If it was, then we probably would do a couple this season as well. In games where players were being dragged back or knocked over and they've not been given because there's not been a sufficient contact. The reality is, Harry Kane is already falling over when the contact is made with Jordan Pickford's head. In fact, he leans into Jordan Pickford's head. Now, should Jordan put his head there in the first place? No. Should we have been in that situation in the first place? No. But we were. And Harry Kane throws himself on the floor and was always getting that penalty. Always getting that penalty. Do I understand why it was given? Yes. But is there any consistency in the officiating and the refereeing in this country? Absolutely not. And that penalty was given because he's the national treasure. He's England's captain. He's England's number 9. And the Premier League and the FA and, the national team do not want a situation where the captain, the leader of the nation, the fella that's going to lead the country into another World Cup this winter is labelled as a diver, or dare I say a cheat, or somebody who is trying to perceive the official. That's not what they want. So as soon as Harry Kane was falling over with his hand in the air, he was always getting that penalty, regardless of any contact or not. The contact isn't sufficient enough for him to go over the way he did. And I'm actually quite disappointed with Jordan for not querying it. I'm disappointed with Jordan for lying down with his head in his hands and almost accepting that was what it was. Now, maybe he's done that because he knows it's Harry Kane. He's England's captain. He's getting the decision either way. But I just think Jordan maybe should have been a little bit more proactive of getting up, getting in the referee's face, or even holding your head and rolling round. You hold your head, you roll round, you give VAR, you give the referee a decision to make. It's as simple as that. You give the referee a decision to make. He doesn't even look at VAR. VAR doesn't even look at it, and if it does, it doesn't for more than 13 seconds, which is mad because the penalty decision at Goodison last season when Hugo Lloris whipped Richarlison up was looked at for about 15 minutes. This one, it was like, yeah, it must be a penalty because it's Harry Kane and he's gone over. Jordan should have made more of that to force the referee to go to VAR and then ultimately to go to the monitor. Because I'll say it, because I don't care, and the FA can't find me, and the Premier League can't find me. They can find Frank Lampard, they can't find me. I don't give a fuck. If that's on Neil Maupay in the other box, it doesn't get given. It's as simple as that. And I know you might go, it's easy to say that, Cam, this, that, and the other. It's a cheap excuse. That's Neil Maupay in the other box. It doesn't get given. It's as simple as that. And that is wrong. Because, yeah, it shows the inconsistency. It shows the absolute nonsense of a real book, and it shows the, again, dare I say, the big C word of this league. Yeah. But ultimately, Jordan shouldn't have spilled the shot, and he shouldn't have put himself in that position anyway. In the first place, he did. Kane takes the penalty. Jordan is, by the way, millimetres away from saving it. Fingertips, millimetres away from it hitting his fingertips. They got 1-0 up, and that at that point it was always going to be a ridiculously difficult task for Everton. We were always on the uphill battle. We were always needing to then get at them, and in doing that, we left ourselves exposed. We left ourselves, vulnerable to conceding again. We didn't do anything on the counter attack. We didn't really create anything. We didn't have any opportunities at 1-0 where you think, go on, we'll get back into this here. We had a couple of attacks that led ultimately to nothing because of a lack of quality. As I said, Frank changed the team. Frank changed the formation. Didn't work for me. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't right. I'd have rather have had Zakore on for Garner, to be fair. And I'm not saying James Garner didn't do a good job or shouldn't have come on, but I just think Zakore, they'd been a little bit better of a substitution, a bit more sensible, bit of height, bit of pace, maybe push him more forward and let him break and bring Garner on for somebody else. Maybe put Garner on one of the wings, take McNeil off, who was doing nothing. But yeah, we were always susceptible then to conceding a second. We're pushing for an equaliser. 85 minutes, they go up the other end. Ball goes into Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. He has what feels like an hour and a half to take his shot, what feels like an hour and a half to make his decision. He does. It ends up deflecting off Alex Iwobi, who's playing right back again at this point, and it's 2-0, and at that point it's absolutely game over. Referee blows his whistle to restart the game, and within a couple of minutes the game is done, and Everton have lost again. And again, Everton have lost to a mistake, an individual mistake by the goalkeeper. A deflected goal which wouldn't have happened had the mistake not have happened, because we wouldn't have been in that position defensively. And after 2 missed opportunities to go ahead. So the bottom line is Everton are losing games because of ourselves and not really because of the opposition. Whether that be because of individual mistakes that are leading to goals conceded, or whether that be not taking chances at the other end and therefore it biting us on the arse. We're losing games of football at the moment through our own doing rather than through being beaten comfortably by a team. Although I don't think Everton deserved anything out of Saturday, and on the basis of the stats and the possession and all of that, it was a comfortable Tottenham win. It could have been very, very, very different had, a couple of our players had a bit more composure and had the goalkeeper not made the mistake he did. But that's what happened. The final whistle went, we lost the game. That's what we have to sort of deal with now. Inky Squid says, I don't think it's worth giving excuses, to be honest. Sure, not a pen, we would have lost anyway, and Tottenham are a better team. We're not beaten away for a long time. On to the next game. Yeah, I agree. I agree with most of that. I don't think we'd have lost anyway, because I don't think the second goal comes if the first goal doesn't come, to be honest with you. But I 100% agree. It's done. I said it after United. It's done now. No point in thinking about it. We've got a much more winnable game on Wednesday. I understand. Newcastle are a good side. They're a difficult side to beat. Good at home. Good feeling around the club at the moment. But they're much better opportunity to win a game than what Tottenham was. Inky says, the fact we have to analyse pens like this says a lot about the officiating. It's horrific. And as you say, there's the Everton aspect. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Glenn says, Harry needs a cane if he goes over that easily. The Blues says, Cam, that great chance was bobbling and that's why he skied it, and the Onana one was on his left foot from about 16 yards while sprinting. I think he doesn't score that tenner. I get it. Angle was tight, left foot. I get the grey one bobbling up. Reality is that you need to take those chances. You do. I get that there's excuses. I get you could say it was bobbling or Onana's was on his weak foot. I was taught, and this is completely irrelevant to the point, and you might think stop talking shite, Cam, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm here, it's live, it's my channel, I'll say it. When I was 8-9 years old, might have even been younger, I was a right back at my team, played Sunday League, Kids League, as you do, and one game I had to go left back because our left back was out sick and we had another lad that could play right back. Now at 8-9 years old, I was, I think our left back then left a week later. I was taught to be able to kick with my left foot. at that age. I was taught to be able to use my left foot because I had to play there. I had to be able to, I'm not saying I was great with it. I'm not saying I was Lionel Messi, but I could pass with it. I could kick with it. If I needed to shoot with it, I could. I was capable with my left foot because I had to play left back. That was 8 or 9 years old playing on the grass for a Sunday league team, a kids team. I was never going anywhere as a footballer. I'm not sitting here taking the excuse of it was Onana's left foot. He should be able to kick with his left foot. He's a Premier League footballer on however many thousands of pounds a week. Same reason Dwight McNeil should be able to kick with his right foot. In fact, I'm convinced Dwight McNeil hasn't got a fucking right foot. He's got a banana or something in his right boot because he never fucking uses it. It's not an excuse for me for Premier League footballers to not be able to kick with both feet, to not be able to use both feet. I get what you're saying and I understand the point, but for me, you've got to be able to hit the target from 10 yards out, whatever it was, with both feet, no matter where you're playing, what your position is. It's as simple as that. Sam says, Mac Davo, lad, that was it, mate. The Blues says, I agree, Mowbray didn't have any chance creative for him, but in order for him to get a chance, we need other teams to not mark him because he can't outrun anyone and can't outjump them. Yeah, he needs to create more space for himself, I get that, but who's that? Sorry, somebody was just screaming and shouting. I don't know whether it was in the house or not in the house. I'm trying to figure out whether we're getting robbed here. Ah, well, if we're getting robbed, then they can come in and give me their 10 pence worth on Everton's defeat to Tottenham. McNeil does have a left peg, you're right, Inky, but he doesn't have a right peg. In fact, he hasn't got a right leg. Never mind the right peg. So, yeah, I agree. Stanley Parkway, the Sam says, Sam, yeah, listen, don't be giving the location out, lad. Left back in the changing room. Inky says quicker. Cam into the right back position then. Probs could do a shift. Not now, mate. I'm not fit enough. Or good enough, to be honest. Joel says we've been unlucky not to getting something out of both games. I'd agree. I wouldn't say unlucky in terms of we were robbed, but I'd just say on another day we could have been a different result. Yeah, look. We lost the game. It was unfortunate, but again, as I said after Man United, we've got to put it to one side now. We've got to move forward and we've got to go against Newcastle on Wednesday and hopefully get a result there. And I am quietly confident that we will get a result there as well. We will be back tomorrow afternoon. Don't know whether it'll be about the same time or it'll be probably maybe a little bit earlier for the game preview to that Newcastle game. So don't forget to join us for that. We'll be giving my predicted starting 11. We'll be talking about Frank Lampard's pre-game press conference, which of course is tomorrow morning, I believe. Early one, I believe, for Frank tomorrow. So don't forget to join us for that one. But in terms of this one, listen, it's a defeat. As I said, small margins again, but we didn't really deserve anything out the game. We put it behind us. We lost to a good side. It's a side that many teams will lose to away from home this season. And yeah, put it behind us, move forward, and go again on Wednesday. Big thank you for watching. If you have watched in the live comments, really do appreciate it. Massive thank you for watching. If you could leave a like, it would mean a great deal to me. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. As I said, we will be back with the game preview to the Newcastle game tomorrow, so don't forget to look out for that one. But until then, if you're watching this YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below. Massive thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.